you serious, if you're a serious Arsenal supporter and you want to see Arsenal Football Club win title, do you seriously believe that Mikel Arteta is the man to do that?
I think he can, yeah. I'm asking you, what would you do next season if you was in charge of this club? Are you seriously telling me that you would get rid of the manager right now, going into next season? Is that what you're saying to me? I'm trying to understand what you're saying.
What I'm saying to you, I will get a manager who can get us over the line. If you I said yes. Because I'm telling you right now, if you put Arsenal starting 11 to City starting 11, yeah, you realize that at least this year on form will have at least 6 to 7 players who's on form over City player. If you look at
Erling Haaland's the top goal scorer in the league.
Yeah.
Phil Foden's just won player of the season. They've been good as well.
Yeah. But what I'm saying to you,
De Bruyne's been excellent.
Yeah, all right then. Roger and Declan Rice.
They've both been excellent.
Okay then. De Bruyne and Odegaard.
They've both been excellent.
Okay then.
I'd say Odegaard, but they've both been excellent.
You see what I'm saying to you?
No, I
the
don't.
player that we have is that good, but the manager ain't that good. You have to understand.
This is the Cannon Chatter post-match podcast with the Southern Gooner.
Welcome to another edition of the Cannon Chatter post-match podcast with yours truly, me, the Southern Gooner. The audio you heard was from the post-match reaction from this year's final discussion with the brother Yardman. And in that, we heard the same frustrations that we heard last season. But no matter where you went today on the internet, no matter where you looked across YouTube, no matter where you went on Twitter, it was admiration, praise, hope, and a sunny outlook for the Arsenal for next season. Whereas last season, people were ending the season saying, we bottle it. I'll tell you what, we'll get into that in just a second. Let's go ahead and open the parameters. Let's go ahead and talk about tonight's discussion. We'll come back to that shortly because it's right in line with what I want to talk about here. I'm going to rattle off a couple of dates for everybody, years, and I'm going to show you where we finished at. In 2014, we finished in third, and some of this is going back to Arsene Wenger, so I just want people to preface that because I know some stooge is going to come in my chat and he's going to go, oh, well, this is not all Arteta. I'm saying all this because I want to prove a point. 2014, we finished third. 2015, we finished second. 2016, we finished fifth. 2017, sixth. 2018, fifth. 2019, eighth. 2020, eighth. 2021, fifth. 2022, second. Last year, and this year we finished second as well. Judging based off of, if you were to kind of do run some numbers, you probably see we're probably going to finish fifth or sixth next year. We don't quite do too well whenever we finish high in the table over history. You know, I think everyone is starting to get carried away with the whole ordeal of success. We're starting to blur the line of progression and success. And that's never a good thing when you're trying to become a successful team or organization. What Arsenal fans have to realize is that, yeah, you look at the numbers from this year versus last year, there was some form of improvement. We also had a rock-solid defense that was unlike anything we've seen in years. I've noted that on plenty of different occasions, whether it was me on Lee's channel, on fan cams, or even on panels. I've said the defense this year has been really great. We also have to look inside and look at our fullbacks, and look, Saliba has played every Premier League minute this year. That is unheard of. It's either him or Gabriel. I can't remember. I think one or the other has played the entire Premier League season. I'm thinking of Saliba because I think Gabriel missed the game here or there. Magalhaes. But you look at that, and we avoided the injury bug this year on the back line, which is extremely rare for us. Did we improve? Yeah. Was it progression compared to last year? Yeah, you can say that. But was it a success? That's where it gets really kind of murky. And the answer to that would have to be no. Last year, Yard Man stated, if Mikel Arteta doesn't win a title, he needs to get the sack. Fast forward a calendar year, hadn't got a trophy, hadn't had any success. We've had a little progression, but not success. Comes back a year later, says it's time to get rid of the manager. Holds his ground. This is something that Arsenal fans are going to have to start doing. In order for us to be successful, we're going to have to start holding people accountable. This is something that we've yet to do over the entire time that this manager has been here. Each year, we're told, wait until May. Each year, we're told, wait until next year. Which one will it be this coming year? Will it be a case of let's keep on holding on, or let's keep on keeping on? But either way it goes, we just have to wait until May to find out. I can already tell you just about how far this is going to go, because we've seen this for the last few years. It's a case of we start out great, drop a few games along the way, and as we get closer towards the end of the year, we're pleading and begging for some of our rivals, some of our most hated teams, and teams that's punished us for years to do a job for us. It's been that way for quite some time. How far do you have to go back? Oh, well, let's go back to 2020. Let's look at 2021. Those are two premium examples of that we relied on people to do a job for us. Also, last year, we needed someone to knock some points off City after we botched having the league 93% of the year. And then this year showed up, which was probably the craziest I've seen. We had fans relying on Spurs. People were coming out saying, hey, I'm a Spurs supporter. Hey, you support the team in any way you want, but I just want you to realize, had we done our job, we wouldn't have had to rely on anybody else to do the job for us. Fast forward a couple of games, we're still sitting here doing the same thing we were doing last year. Does that look like progression? I guess you can say we did progress a little bit because the points tally was a little bit better than it was last year. But does that equal success? Was that success? What is success? Well, I'll tell you this. I looked at Liverpool today. Didn't see too many Liverpool fans complaining and raising a lot of cane. Like I said, I've been streaming most of the day with Lee on the podcast. But I'll say this. Most Liverpool fans I know wasn't worked up today. At least some of my closest in my inner circle, they weren't too much worked up today. Why? Because they've had a successful season. What do you mean, Matt? They didn't win the Premier League title. No, but they've got a trophy in the cabinet to show for their hard work this year. And so, to me, that warrants success. What Arsenal fans are going to have to do is we're going to have to start looking at success in metallic form. Too often, success for Arsenal fans are numbers, stats, and irrelevant numbers or tropes that actually mean nothing. It is another case of, well, if we just keep on doing this, surely it's going to get better. If we keep on manifesting It's surely going to get better. Let's keep up the fight. Let's fight on. Let's do other things to keep us motivated. There's a new hashtag making the rounds on Twitter, and it's Motivation FC. Hashtag Motivation FC. And guess what? You know what that means? We're just going to motivate the team to do well next year. Well, let me tell you, as we get ready to move into the next few years of this regime, because we all know Mikel Arteta's not going anywhere, so therefore we have to look at it from a realistic standpoint. As we prepare to move into the latter years of the quote-unquote project, this is what we're going to walk into. You're going to start seeing players, the Sockers of the world, the Salibas, the Magalhaes, even Ben White. Players like that, Declan Rice, they're going to start looking around. Trossard, anybody? Trossard is getting close to those 30s. He's going to want to taste a little bit of glory. A lot of these players sat in the locker room today after they came off the pitch, dejected, upset, frustrated, and they had every right to be. Because this was a season that this year, because even though City was not as spectacular as they usually have been, they were there. There was an opportunity for us to be successful by taking care of business when we needed to. Matt, what are you saying? I'm saying let's look no further than the cup competitions. We had the Carabao Cup there, FA Cup, which Manchester United is playing for next weekend. Wouldn't it be crazy if bad as Manchester United's been this year, they go find a way to pull off the unthinkable and upset Manchester City to win a cup? What would that say? Would we define that as success? I surely would. I'd have to say they had a better year than us because they've got silverware to show for their hard work. You know, we've got to stop throwing away these cups. Oftentimes, we have had individuals say that the cups are beneath us. We've got bigger fish to fry. We've got other things to be worried about. We've got bigger trophies to be concerned about. And now you look back, you don't have anything to show for anything. All I keep hearing is that we've progressed, but I'm still trying to find the success. 2019, 8th. 2020, 8th. 2021, 5th. 2nd, and 2nd. In all of those, I don't see a trophy. Somebody will say, oh, well, Matt, we won the FA Cup. Yeah, that was cool. That was years ago. That was when I was with a team that's not even here anymore, outside of one or two players who didn't even play in that game. So once again, I'll ask, where's the progression? Because if we won the FA Cup, we should have progressed to won something else since then. Here we are, another year removed from the pain of last season to the pain and agony of this one. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to let you all know, whether you like what I say or you don't, we're getting ready for more pain, more suffering, because we have not done what we should have done last season, which is hit the reset button on this manager and let's start again afresh with someone who can get us over the line. Yardman nailed it. Sometimes you just have to have someone that can catch the baton. Shout out to Ola, Fight Week show. Sometimes you have to have someone that can just grab that baton and take it going. Mikel Arteta, because this is his first job. Nobody wants to be real about it. He's still learning on the job. Had he had the experience before he got here, he probably could have managed the situation a little bit better over the last few years. But we don't have that luxury anymore. So now we're stuck with learning on the job. So if we're learning on the job with him, then we've got to know that he can't be the one to get us over the line. But as I just stated before that, we all know he's not going anywhere. So how do we rectify this situation? For me, personally, next year, don't even think about the Premier League yet. Let's just say that's just the best case scenario. That's the ultimate scenario. That's the very, very best case scenario for us. And we would all be glad if we won it. But that's not the easiest route to success. The easiest route to success will start in the cup competitions. The first thing out of each Arsenal supporter's mouth next year, when someone asks you what defines success for you, should be to win the Carabao Cup. Yeah, you might get laughed at. You might even get a few crazy stares. But it's something that we hadn't done what? We hadn't won in a while. We hadn't won a Carabao Cup at all. So that would be the first sign of success. Well, what's so important about that, Matt? Well, that one trophy can lift the spirits. It can also lift the mood, because the further we go without winning a cup or winning something to show for all of this hard work or breaking these records, then it's going to start wearing on people, because you can't have all of this progression and not have some success. So if we're going to have success, then we need to start winning in the domestic cup competitions. We don't even need to talk about a community shield this year. We don't even need to discuss the Audi Cup or any other cup or the Chick-fil-A Cup. All we need to be worried about is the Carabao Cup. We need to start there. If we do well in that, then maybe, you know what, we might can manage 2 cups together. So let's see what we can do in the FA Cup as well. Well, if we can do that, then we'll see where we stand out in the Premier League. And if we're still hanging around the Premier League and we still got to say so in that, then by golly, let's see what we can do to go after that. But for right now, the first thing we need to do next season is start at the Cups. We've got to start there. We've got to start at the lowest of the low. No cup for us next year is beneath us. As a matter of fact, it should be looking right above us. We should be looking up for success. Not progression, but success next season. Because apparently we've had enough progression. So progression now is from second place, 5th and 8th with nothing to show for it, to at least winning a cup to have something to show for the season. Because we've got to stop blurring the lines with numbers, statistics, tropes, dialogue, and everything else about progression that does not have with that does not deal with success. For me, success is winning a trophy. Winning a trophy should come in the form of at least the Carabao Cup next year. It's the easiest thing to do if you take it serious. So, what else do we need to do, Matt? We need to look at this roster for next year. We know that the end of the season is here. We're done. We saw City hoist up the trophy. First thing needs to be done tomorrow. Everybody needs to be put on notice. You're out of here. We're moving on. Thanks, but no thanks. Good, not good enough. It's time to move on some players. We've got to clean out about at least 5 to 8 players. We've got to get in some change. We've got to go identify our players that we want, and we have to move quickly. This summer, we don't have the luxury of sitting around waiting. We don't have the luxury of, shout out to Tony Clark Gunner TV, we don't have the luxury of haggling. We can't haggle this year. We've got to put the money on the table and move. If they're not interested, move to the next player that's available on the list. We've got to get our transfers in, and we've got to get them in quick. If we're going to progress in the league, we've got to start progressing in the boardroom. We've got to start getting transfers done. We've got to identify academy talent. We've got to see if we have any that's good enough to move up. We've got to start moving quickly, fast, and expeditiously, because next season, everyone is going to be gunning for us. No pun intended. We're not going to have the time that we've had in the last few years. Other teams are starting to get it together. Aston Villa is in the Champions League. Surely that means they're going to be out looking for some top-grade talent. They're not just there to make it to feel good. They're there to compete. You saw it this year. They're there to compete. Unai Emery is on a mission. He's not going to say it out loud, but he's on a mission to prove everyone at Arsenal wrong. And he's already started this year. So let's get it together, y'all. We've got to move quickly. Let's look at Chelsea. Oh, a couple of weeks ago, Arsenal fans were having a good laugh at Chelsea. But shout out to Johnny Minerals. Looks like Chelsea's starting to get the minerals together. And they're going to start showing everybody their proper shelves. And so now we got to look for them. They're going to be out looking for talent. And guess what? Word on the street is they've already started snapping up their players already. So they're going to be looking to build on this year and try to move into next year by at least winning a cup or challenging for a championship. So one of the two is going to happen. Then you look over at West Ham. I know people are laughing. They've got a new manager coming in. West Ham is going to surely be out for a couple of players. So then you look over from West Ham, you go over to Manchester United. New regime, new management, everything is getting lined up. It looks like Old Trafford is going to patch up the leaky faucets, and they're going to try to get everything they need to get done to compete again. Manchester City is still out there. They're going to rebuild. They're going to strengthen. Pep wasn't exactly happy with everything he saw this year. He just knew how to manage it and hold it together. As the old people say down south where I am, they just learned that he just had to hold it in the road. Liverpool, onslaught, coming in. Same fast-paced, upbeat offense, same type of speed, same type of hard work. Nothing. They're not going to drop anything. The only thing they're going to do is drop the money on the table to get the pieces that they need to compete again and stay at the top. Everton managed to stay up and survive. Sean Dyche is going to make a couple of changes. You saw them today in the game today. The stout defense, everything that they normally were, they were today. Burnley with a little bit more athleticism. And they're going to probably add a few extra pieces. They'll be a problem team for some of the teams next year. Oh, let's not forget, the team that everybody was celebrating and pulling for early this week, they're going to probably be out there looking for a couple of signings because they now realize Son by himself is definitely not going to get it done. So they're going to be in the market looking for some players to try to get over the line. Ladies and gentlemen, what I'm saying is we don't have the luxury of waiting for success anymore. All of the time has been used up. We've had the last 3 years, 5th, 2nd, and 2nd. It is now or never for us to have some type of form of something to show for success. Not progression, not numbers, not tropes, not dialogue, not tweets, not feel good, but it's now time for success. We've got to start getting some form of success. This year, hey, we looked a little bit better than we did last year, especially on the defensive side. But on the trophy side, we still look the same. Not only do we look the same this year, but the year before that and the year before that. We still are lacking in the trophy cabinet. We have got to start looking for success. We have got to stop putting all our eggs in one basket and start spreading the eggs around. We've got to start with the Carabao Cup next year. If that works out for us, we'll try to go on a sliding scale throughout the year. Champions League. Don't want everybody talking about winning the Champions League. We're not ready to win the Champions League. The team is not even constructed to compete with most of the teams that's in the Champions League. This year, we overachieved. Whether people want to hear it or not, we overachieved. We got very, very lucky with our first draw, and we had some teams that, by all intents and purposes, we should have beat. Ran into a few bogey teams. That's expected along the way. But as you see next weekend, we're probably not ready for either one of those two teams. Just don't have the talent. We've got to go out and get the talent. And then we've got to take that talent and apply it to what? The Carabao Cup. Because we've got to win, the Carabao Cup. We've got to win that Carabao Cup next year. We've got to get at least one trophy. That needs to be the standard of success if we want to continue to move forward as a football club. And if we don't do that, then it's mighty afraid that when players look over at the dossier and they say, well, this team has won a trophy here or there, and then you look at us and, yeah, they finished second. What team will they go for? They might just say, you know what, scratch it. I'm going to the team that's won a trophy because at least I can actually see that they're actually trying to do something. We also have to realize that next year is not a guarantee. We're just not guaranteed to come in second place next year. We're not even guaranteed to come in third, fourth, possibly fifth. We've got to be ready to try to win a Carabao Cup, regardless of the fact where we are next year when the season starts. That needs to be the end goal. Some form of silverware. Not numbers, not historical facts, not tropes, not dogs, not trees, not feel good, not steaks, not Dubai. It has to be success. Because if we are looking at moving forward as a football club, then surely success has to be a benchmark somewhere. Because for Manchester City, it's been a benchmark for the last decade, almost a decade of decadence. They have consistently put success as the standard for their winning, and it drives. And you see the players. You see it on the field. You see it. The successes. When you look at what happened this year, ladies and gentlemen, it wasn't the fact that we didn't go toe-to-toe, because people have it mistaken. People think that, oh, well, you all are not satisfied that we competed. No, it's not that. It's just that this is what separates them from us. Is one, mentality, two, the drive to be successful. The drive to be successful pushed them over the line when it looked like nothing else could. And when everybody would go look at the teams that they played, they would say, well, this team would take points off of them. That team would take points off of them. But what got them through those games, even though there were some games that was really tough, it was the success that they've had because the players have been there. They've been in tough times. They've been in situations where maybe they shouldn't have won the game. But because they're so successful, they find ways to do that. not progression, because progression is what you start with. Succession is what you finish with. We have not been successful, whereas they have been successful just about every year the man's been there. We've got to move away from this, and let's hammer this home while we're on it. People look at Pep Guardiola and they say, "Oh, he can't be defeated." Well, I'm looking at a Liverpool manager who's walking off the job, who did a pretty good damn job of being successful, while that same manager has still been around over in England. Ladies and gentlemen, we've got to move away from the woe is me syndrome. We've got to go away from high and mighty. One of the main reasons why we have not defeated City in the last couple of years, we show a little bit too much respect when we don't need to show respect at the right time. It's okay to say, hey, look, this is a good team, but the fact that everyone freezes up and makes it out as if this team can't be beaten, that's a recipe for disaster. That means mentally that they've gotten to you. That means you're shot out. That means that you don't even believe yourself that you can defeat a team. Manchester City, for me, is easily beatable. They lost a few games this year. Apparently, those teams know something. Apparently, those managers have figured out a game plan. Why can't Arsenal figure it out? Huh? Why can't Arsenal figure it out? Real Madrid figured it out. This is after Real Madrid lost to them last year in the Champions League. They went back to the drawing board and said, hey, let's figure out a way to do this. Albeit they won it on penalty kicks, but when you're that far in the game against a team like that, you got to be able to go blow for blow, which they did. And so now Arsenal has to learn to go blow for blow. Guess what? I know somebody's going to come in the chat and say, yeah, Matt, but we didn't lose to them this year. You're right. We didn't lose to them this year. But I'll tell you what, we'll go back to the success discussion. Fulham, Aston Villa 2 times. Spurs, Chelsea. Those were all games that we need to be successful in. Not progress, not say, hey, we didn't lose. We need progression. We need succession. We need games that provide us with situations to be successful. Those were all games where we could have been successful had we defeated them. All it would have taken is 3 points, and we're having a whole different discussion today. That is the fine margins. And ladies and gentlemen, I want you to understand this as I take a sip of my water. I want people to understand this, that this is going to be the benchmark as long as this manager's here. So if we know that the margin of error is very slim, then why are we even making a fuss about it when we already know what we need to do? That means we have to be locked in mentally. We've also got to be locked in, ready to go at all times. Every team for the rest of the year, and when we come back, is Manchester City. When you look at the schedule, don't look at the team and say, oh, it's Fulham week. Nope, it's Manchester City. We got to beat them. Every game has to be like that. Well, Matt, that means we have to go undefeated. If we have to go undefeated again, Invincibles part 2, then guess what, damn it? That's just what it's going to have to be. And while we're doing that, in the process of doing that, we're going to win some cups along the way. We're going to go after this Carabao Cup. We're going to get the strongest team possible that we need to go out and win. Well, we can't put all our good players in that because then that'll wear them out throughout the year. Well, we're going to sell about 6 to 8 players. Those 6 to 8 players that's coming in need to be players that can do a job in both the cup and in league competition. Because next year, not progression. We've got to have some success because we've already done the progression part. That's already done. It's now time for success. We've got to come out. We've got to work hard. And the boys have got to take an account for themselves next year. Next year is going to be very, very, very tough. This is why I keep saying you, I'm really not looking at the league next year. I'm looking at these cups. We've got to start winning some cups because if we don't win something, players will start leaving next year. They're going to start leaving. Whether people want to face that reality or not, players are going to start leaving this team next year if we're not successful. As a matter of fact, we're probably going to have 1 or 2 that are going to be side-eyed this summer, and you'll probably start hearing the rumbles. Real Madrid is already sniffing around for 1 or 2 of our players, and Bukayo Saka is not going to keep putting his body on the line like this without having some kind of form of success himself. So, ladies and gentlemen, start getting prepared, getting your houses in order, because you're going to start hearing the rumors after a while. Ladies and gentlemen, this season was a hard season. This was a tough season. This was a painful day for me as an Arsenal fan. I was really hurt today because I knew, for me personally, City would have for the taking this year. Yeah, we should have won it last year, but we did everything we needed to do except what we needed to do when we needed to do it, which was in those games against Aston Villa, Fulham, Chelsea, Spurs, And there's another one that I'm forgetting. Somebody put it in the chat. Those were the games where we could have just got the full 3 points. We're having a completely different discussion. We're having a completely different discussion about progression and success. This manager is going to have a long, hard look into the mirror. And like I said, I know he's probably going to end up staying, but he himself is going to have to look at himself. He himself is going to have to go. I can't go against myself like he did earlier this year with Aston Villa. Earlier this half, with Aston Villa. He went back to what wasn't working. We knew it wasn't working. We've had through 2 years of it. We know that doesn't work. But he went back to it. Why? I don't know. I'll never know. But I just know that we can't keep doing that. The manager has to get it right next year. The ownership has to get it right next year. The Denver Nuggets just went out of the playoffs tonight. So they're not doing anything. That's done. That whole Denver Nuggets experiment, that's over with. It's time for them to experiment with the Arsenal. The same type of energy that they put into those other teams here in the States, it's the same kind of energy that I want to see put into winning a Carabao Cup with Arsenal. Some form of silverware to be hoisted up. Some form of silverware needs to be hoisted up. For years, I have sat there and watched them break their backs to get the LA Rams to win a Super Bowl. They literally went all in, pushed all the chips into the middle of the table for them to be successful. They went out. They drafted well in the NBA. They ended up getting the lottery pick, and they've got the Denver Nuggets at least competing to win a championship. And now they've won one. They won a championship, albeit I don't think they'll win another one, but they won a championship. They've got something to show for their efforts. Hell, man, even the MLS team has had a trophy in the last 20 years in the cabinet as well. What about Arsenal? What about us? Where is, one, our Premier League title? Two, where's the Carabao Cup? Where's the FA Cup that with this manager and his own players? And where is the success? Where are the world-class signings? For years, they told me back in 2021 when we finished 5th, in 2020 when we finished 8th, 2019 when we finished 8th, 2018 when we finished 5th, and people were saying, hey, we've got to get into the Champions League because we've got to get world-class players. Well, this is the second time that we finished second in the last few years. We're in the Champions League. I expect to see world-class players this summer. I don't really hear anything about, well, who can we bring in? Where are we going to get these players? That's not up for me. I'm not getting paid that. I'm only sitting on YouTube on my own free will and accord. I'm just sitting here chilling, but I'm just giving you a suggestion. We need to get those world-class players because for 4 or 5 years here, we've heard that we've got to get in the Champions League. Then we're here now. Where are the world-class players? Where are the world-class players? Because I'm here to tell you, if we don't get any world-class players on this team, I'm going to be having the same discussion next year. And then next year, we're going to go back again, and I'm going to say, hey, what are we doing? Are we doing the same thing? Because this is the same thing that I did last year. It's becoming a reoccurring thing. It's like a syndicated TV show. Never ends. You just pay the royalties on it. And this is what fans are doing. They're going to the turnstile and they're paying the royalties to sit back and watch Arsenal do the same thing over and over again. The only difference is we're doing it in a new kit. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to start separating progression from success. We need to start looking for trophies to define our progression. If we are not winning any trophies starting next year, then that means we're stagnating. We've got to find a way by any means necessary to win trophies starting next season. Because if we do not, you start to breed failure. And when you breed failure, it's hard to get it out. And I'm mighty afraid if we don't get it right starting next year, we're going to find ourselves back like we were when Wenger left and we finished in 8th in 2019. We've got to get the job done this summer. This year is over. Painfully as it was to watch them lift that trophy today, I came to the realization that this season is over. People thought oh, I didn't want Arsenal to win a title this year because I didn't pull for Spurs. I wanted Arsenal to win a title. I'm not rooting for a rival, but I wanted Arsenal to win a title this year. There's a difference in the two if you look hard enough. We have got to find success next year. Now, the question is, can this manager bring us success? Remains to be seen. 8th, 5th, 2nd, and 2nd. 8th, 5th, 2nd, and 2nd under this manager. We're moving into year 5. Ladies and gentlemen, it's now time for put up or shut up. Either we are or we're not. If we're not successful next year, I'm mighty afraid we're looking at another rebuild coming up soon because these players are getting older. Players are going to be wanting to leave. The manager's probably going to get frustrated with himself, and he may leave. He may even leave this summer. Who knows? If he sits down and look at it, he might walk away from it, especially if something better comes along. Has a tendency to do that if you hadn't noticed. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to make this any longer. I'm going to keep it real simple. Success must be on the cards for next season. I hear people saying, we're going to do it, we're going to do it, we're going to do it. Well, I'll tell you what, we're going to see. Hopefully this time next year, we're having a celebratory podcast. But as of right now, I'm mighty worried because of what I've seen in the last several years. But one thing is for sure, I will say this. We need to win a Carabao Cup next year. We've got to start somewhere and start somewhere quick, fast, and in a hurry. If we don't win that trophy next year, or we don't win a trophy next year, it's going to be a long, hard season. Everyone else is strengthening. Everybody else is getting stronger. We can't keep holding on to players that were good years ago. As I've stated on a couple of podcasts this week, some of these players, they were good enough for where we were. 5th, 8th, 5th. Some of those players were good for that level. We're past that now. We're finishing 2nd and 2nd. By all intents and purposes, if we're finishing that high, based off of the progression that everybody keeps telling me about, then surely we've got to get better players than what we have. We've got to get better players. We got lucky this year with the injury bug. We got very, very lucky with the injury bug. Also, we got to start looking at everyone else around us. We got to start looking at everyone else around us. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Matt, Southern Gooner. I thoroughly hope that you enjoyed these podcasts this season. This will be my last one until we fire things up in the summer, transfers, and what have you. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. Ladies and gentlemen, don't get progression confused with success. They're two different things. Progress puts you in a good place to be successful. The question is, how long are you going to deal with progress? Because once you if you're going to look at progress on a 4, 5, 6 year term, then you find yourself in another project. The project is no longer a project. The youth project is done. Second, the question is where we're going to finish next year. Wherever we finish at next year, whether it's 14, 10, 9, 8, I'm just throwing numbers out there now, there needs to be a trophy attached to it somewhere. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time to win something. It is time to win something. For some of us, that was this year. We all got to be on the same page next year. For me, the most minimum thing is the Carabao Cup next year. We've got to start winning. We've got to breed some form of success in this football club. Whether we all are on the Arteta in, Arteta out, whatever that is, wherever you stand at, on that. The one thing we've got to all be in agreement on next year, there has to be a standard for success next season. There must be a trophy at the Emirates. There must be a trophy. There's no more discussion about records and numbers and all that stuff. That's all good and well. It's all done. At the end of the day, the season has ended. You look at the numbers. You look at where everybody is in the table. Everybody from second all the way down. Who has a trophy for that? Nobody. outside of Liverpool, possibly Manchester United next week, we definitely know City's got a trophy. But other than that, no Premier League trophy is offered from second all the way down. If you didn't do anything in the domestic cup this year, you didn't win anything. Everybody's talking about Spurs and how they hadn't done anything. Let's look at ourselves. Let's look at ourselves. What have we done? What have we done? How many trophies do they have? How many trophies do we have to Everton? If we have the same amount of trophies this year. 0. Zilch. Nada. Next year, that needs to change. We need trophies in the cabinet. From then, we can go back and look at progress. But right now, it ain't looking too good. Ain't looking too good. Today was a very, very, very painful day for me as an Arsenal fan. Very painful. Tired of looking at City win all the time. But that's what happens when you breed success. It just happens naturally. Comes natural. It's just like muscle memory, like a boxer. The boxer's still gonna have that movement and know where to go because it's been programmed. We've got to start programming winning and success. Too many people are looking at numbers and statistics, but they're not looking at the trophy cabinet. I'm Matt, the Southern Gooner. Like, share, subscribe. Thank you so much for your support this year. Thank you, Lee, for a wonderful year. Thank you, Jez. Everybody, thoroughly enjoyed being on with y'all on podcast. I will have an end of the year stream in the next in the next week or two, and then we'll be shutting it down for the season, and I'll be back when the season kicks off. But once again, thank y'all so much. Thoroughly enjoyed it. Yard man, shout out to you, brother. Keep up the good work, man. Another year for those who kind of want to put things in perspective. Go look at my podcast. Yard man is correct. Come back to this one and tell me what's changed. All right. With that, I'm Matt, Southern Gooner. I'm tired. It's been a long day streaming, almost 10 hours. I'm out, man. Cheers. Peace.
Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to The Southern Gooner here on YouTube.